Welcome, Rikki. It's so exciting to have our first Veteran Business Alliance member on our podcast today. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. That's exciting. I didn't know that.
Welcome. So your journey into the Army, you had a bit of a wild start.
Yeah. So it was, I feel like many of them are. So I joined back in 2014, but even prior to joining, had my date and my enlistment date, and then it all kind of turned to hell because my appendix burst. And then, as Army does, they like to dot their I's and cross their T's and make sure you're good to go. So that pushed it back months and months. And then I had another kind of hurdle that I had to go through in as well. I had a boyfriend who was in the police force down in New South Wales, and he passed away as well. So it was kind of a whirlwind prior to joining, but I wouldn't change any of it. Well, I would, but it all happened for a reason. Got down to Kapooka eventually, luckily and thankfully down in winter, which was nice and refreshing. Spent my time down there and eventually got out into the School of Artillery because I joined as a ground-based air defender, and then did my time at the School of Artillery and then posted down to 16 ALR Airland Regiment at the end of 2014. So... yeah.
And it wasn't common for women back then in that role, so...
No, there was a few. So when I was when I came in, there was, at the regiment at the time, there was one female bombardier who was transitioning over to another job in artillery, and then at the time there was me and 3 others, and that was it. So they were the first handful, which was really interesting, challenging, good and bad, but it was a good experience to kind of get in. The reason, I ended up joining artillery for a reason because of Dad. Dad was 3 RAR, so he pushed me to join a combat-ish role, and there I was. My name's Rikki, and he wanted a boy. So,
And through your journey, you ended up being posted down to Kapooka as an instructor. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I ended up, it was kind of a journey. So initially, like I said, I joined as artillery, but as many people in those roles, I ended up doing my back on a exercise at night, doing a night move, one step wrong and just a nice good twist, and there's my back at 20 years old. So it was kind of a journey to get transferred, nearly got med discharge, which luckily I fought it and won, which was really great because it kind of extended my career and time in Army. But then I went over into Clark's, which was more family friendly because I did have a baby at the time and eventually had a baby. But yeah, so then what I decided to do was when I was at Clark's, I'd always wanted to go to Kapooka. It was like my dream job. From the moment I stepped foot in Kapooka, I was in love, even though I was getting yelled at. It was good fun. It was just something that I knew that I wanted to do. Like not so much the yelling and the screaming, but the teaching was really cool. So it was a perfect time when I transferred over to Clark to push for all my promotion courses to get it all done. So I was like one of those keen beans that people shake their head at, saying yes to absolutely everything, which led me over to RCB in Malaysia as well. I joined attached to 8 9 RAR, went over there for a few months, which was really cool as well. And then after that, that's how I ended up getting my foot through the door to go to 1 RTB. Initially it wasn't as an instructor. I kind of put my hand up to do whatever. So I got a corporal clerk position down there. And then within like day 2, I went into the CSM and was like, oh, sir, so I don't want to be a clerk. I would rather be an instructor. And he was like, oh, good, because I need one. And literally the next week I was on the course. And then after that I was with my recruits, and it was whirlwind, but it all kind of, came together in the end. So
awesome. And during that time, your love story began.
Yeah. So my husband, Nate, and I, we kind of had a similar in the fact of how we ended up at Kapooka. So we were both instructors. He was an infantry man. And same thing, he kind of ended up randomly getting a posting down there. And there were a number of times that we actually raised a platoon, our first platoon, on the same night, and he stole my recruits, so I may have yelled at him. And that was apparently when he knew that he he loved me. And then he nearly ran me over with a car and my recruits, to which I was not happy about as well. And then, somehow he kind of strategically placed himself where I was at all times and ended up convincing me to go out on a date with him. I don't know how we even found the time, to be honest, because we were working so many hours. It was crazy. But, it was one of those situations where whirlwind of a kind of couple of years, and I don't know, if you know, I guess people who get it. And years later now we're together, and he kind of was with me when we did the transition out as well. So it was kind of one of these things. We actually joined in the same year, left in the same year together. And he's kind of a big part of that journey. But and where we are now together, it was wild, yeah.
You mentioned transition.
Yeah.
And it was amongst COVID.
Yes. So as we all know, when COVID hit, the world went crazy. And Army had to do what Army had to do. And there was kind of some reasons why we ended up making our call to transition out. So we transitioned out literally smack bang in the middle of COVID. It was kind of a risky move, actually, because no one knew what was going to happen. No one knew what the next week would look like. That was back when they were remember on the news when we were tracking where all the cases were, and they were popping up everything. It was just wild.
Closing borders
and everything. So I ended up securing a position in youth work at the time. So I have a Bachelor of Psychological Sciences as well. So I kind of leveraged that to move into a different industry. And so I secured employment quite quickly, which I'm very grateful for. So that meant our transition time was very quick. We were out within a couple of weeks from submitting paperwork. And we ended up having our uplift in Kapooka, which it was just such a wild time. But that was when the borders were closing. So we had 24 hours from uplift. In that same day, it was like a race to get across the border, literally. It was quite wild, but we got there just in time. I think we saw the police officers, and it was 11 p.m. or 10 p.m., something like that at night time. And he was like, "Oh, you just made it." So, but and because we had to go regional to get in from Wagga Wagga all the way up to Brisbane was where we ended up relocating to. But it was a wild time. And I remember when we got into Brisbane after such a long drive, we did one overnight stop, so broke it into 2 days. And I remember we pulled into the driveway with a bloody baby, a toddler in the back, a dog in the back, and a whole bunch of pot plants that I would refuse to let go of. And I just remember thinking, shit, it was a new house, new suburb, new everything. And I was like, cool, what now? And it was quite a scary moment. Previously, it was really exhilarating, and we were excited. We're like, oh, yep, change. And I had all these images in my head of what it would look like. But then when we were in the moment, we were like, oh, I don't actually know what it will look like. So, yeah.
And what did then, you're thinking, what now? What did it look like after that?
Yeah, so we were so burnt out after that. We did it that year at Kapooka. And it was such a big year. So if anyone who's instructor before, particularly at 1RTB, will know how many hours instructors, corporals do, particularly in sergeants and when you're on the ground with your platoons. But because of COVID, then on top of it, it was quite hectic. So all we knew we wanted to do was focus on our family, and we wanted to have that family time. And we had some finances lined up that we could kind of really put that as our priority, because, we did have our savings there. But because we hadn't prepared so much, we kind of ate all of the savings up, which was worth it in the end because we wanted to spend time with family. And it was truly nice to be able to just go. We live near Bribie Island, so be able to go to the beach and to be able to, focus on the kids, one kid at the moment at that time, and the dog. And Nate ended up transitioning out. He did youth work as well, so we're both in that space. But when I was there, I realised after going straight from Kapooka, which is a really intense environment, into youth work was just not an easy transition. That adjustment psychologically was actually really challenging. So we collectively made the decision to go that I'd be kind of the stay-at-home mum, which was really, I was really excited until a couple of months in, and then I realised, okay, I don't want to just be a mum. Like being a mum is such a big part. I missed out on my eldest. So it was like 2 years I worked out of her life that I was away on overseas courses, exercises, everything. And so then, we decided I'd stay at home. And it just kind of came, I don't know, overwhelming in itself because I was missing this aspect of army, the routine, particularly coming from a school like the 1RTB as well, and having that structure of you know exactly what you're doing, when you're doing it, and where you're doing it for months in advance. I played around with some small businesses and did a whole bunch of different stuff. Many of them did not work. There were many lessons learned, a lot of investments made, some lost, some wins. And concurrently to that, Nate ended up transitioning out as well from youth work because it is quite an intense job working with different kids and teenagers with behavioural backgrounds and trauma backgrounds. So that was draining in itself as well. Yeah. And then he made a really nice transition to a local ranger within the council. So that was really nice for the family. So I was kind of working on my own things and trying to maybe get like an e-commerce business off the ground or coaching or something off the ground using my degree, but nothing kind of sat right. And it was kind of this weird time. It was weird. Nate was kind of happy and good because he had where he was going every day, but I was struggling, particularly with the identity. And I remember we cleaned out we didn't realise how much stuff we had, as everyone does when they do an uplift and then you get it delivered. You're like, oh, I didn't realise I had this much belongings and furniture and nonsense and stuff. And when we were cleaning out the shed after we got it all delivered, one of the things I struggled so much was getting rid of all of my military things because I knew I wasn't going to go back into reserves or anything. I needed that complete separation. It was really struggling, like really hard,
Yeah. And then, so 2023, you decided to pack your suitcases and move overseas.
Because as if we haven't had enough, wild things happening in our life, we thought, why not? We've had so much change, let's keep going. Because something just didn't feel right. Like something was off. Maybe it was that we were working for so many years in an institution where we got told what to do the whole time. We had no freedom. And then we kind of got all this freedom and they're like, well, we need to figure something else out. So we actually decided to sell every single item we owned. In this time I had another baby, so we had two. And I think my youngest then, she was only just over 1 at this time as well. So we sold everything, literally took 2 suitcases, 2 bags and 2 children overseas, and we ended up living in Southeast Asia for a bunch of time. But the intention for that was to give us location freedom, and we knew that there was a few things we wanted, was like location freedom for that time frame, and then also financial freedom was what we were working towards, to then have time freedom. And one of the things that we were doing, and particularly Nate was doing at the time, was working on finding a company or a business that we would buy and then come in either as an investor or as a somewhat, not so much owner-operator, but within the structure to grow the company. So we had a lot of financial tests that things had to pass, some failed. One of the tests that had to pass was we had to know the lay of the land, want to go in blind. And Nathaniel was posted up here many moons ago, so he knew Townsville really well. Never been here in my life, didn't know what to think, didn't even Google it. I was like, no, I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to just commit. We ended up coming across AAA Tried Cleaning Services at the time, which we have never worked in cleaning other than cleaning when we get told to in the army and then at home as parents. And so here we are.
Awesome. So you actually bought the business while you were away, so there's I feel like we made a lot of moves overseas, like in the past 5 years, that were kind of, many would say they were risky, but they were kind of assessed and made, with a good judgment, I guess, and passing some things. So we bought the business while we were overseas. We were actually in Malaysia. We went back to Malaysia. I wanted to show the kids
Butterworth and some other places like that I spent some time in. And so we did all the business transactions like via Zoom for the most part. But what was happening was Nathaniel, we kind of like did a flip. Nathaniel started to really realize that he needed purpose outside of being a father. Like, so as much as we love being parents, we needed that drive and something else to give our brain and our hands to focus on. So, so we made the call and we said, okay, this is going to happen soon, so let's go back to Australia. And we went and we actually stayed with my mum, who was in Brisbane at the time, and kind of followed up with the last kind of business calls and whatnot. And then we, after a few weeks of that, we then ended up coming to Townsville to do due diligence to buy the company, and which kept dragging out, things as businesses do, things in contracts and whatnot. So we eventually, it was a marathon, but we ended up securing the company and bringing our 2 suitcases, 2 bags and 2 children, and here we are in Townsville. So
wow. So talk us through the business now. How long have you been operating?
So the company itself has been operating for coming up to 30 years. So it was a really lovely company that started as kind of like a mum and pop company where they just had their own van and went out and did their own services, and it's grown over the years. So the members that we bought it off, they ran it and they were moving into retirement, and so they'd grown it particularly over COVID, as cleaning was a necessity in that time frame, particularly for the hygiene purposes. So we came into it and we've bought it, been in business now under our company name from December last year. So what are we, like, coming 9 months now? And it's been like every other part of our life. I guess there's been such massive learning lessons and hurdles that we've had to jump over, stressful moments, really happy moments, exhilarating moments. But I'm really proud of what we've cultivated from what was existing, and we've kind of, Nate describes it as like steering a ship. So we've got a new captains and, we've changed, the course direction, which is really exciting. So we've really developed a really big focus around veterans, being both Nate and I veterans ourselves. My dad's a veteran. His dad was a veteran when he was, he served back in the day as well. His mum's a veteran. So like we have a veteran family.
Yep.
And yeah, so we're very passionate about that. So we have, the company never used to do housekeeping services at all, or domestic cleaning in people's homes. So we've really opened up and started doing that to support veterans with their household services. But then also more so, I think importantly, is we actually hire veterans, which we've to date now we've linked in with you guys at Oasis, and we've hired a number of veterans, and it looks like another one potentially came through the other day, so which is really exciting. And we have veteran spouses as well, so we kind of all get it, which is lovely. So we've grown in that space, and then we've kind of changed the culture a bit as well, as it is really a big family now. Both, domestic crew, commercial crew, and the office crew, which is the upsell. That's what they have to call it now, because that's all we know. And yeah, so we're really proud. We've grown the ROI. It's Nate was telling me like over 30% in the 9 months, which is no small feat. Because as anyone will know, with any change of management and those who've listening who have served, when new OCs or COs or anyone came in, it shifts everything. So there was a lot of growing pains with that, shifts. People were happy, not happy, but yeah. So we're really excited where we are and where we're going, and it was a journey. So
that's great. It's excellent. Look, we're asking all our guests this question: what advice would you give your younger self?
The biggest thing that I would have told myself if I could time travel back is, you think you don't need to prepare, but you do. You think, future self will just deal with it. I used to literally say that about, even things like when I used to smoke or drink alcohol and things like that. But I mean, so much more of this focus needs to be in our financial future and our transitioning, our skill set. So I'd go back to a couple of 18, 19-year-old Rikki and say, think about where you're going to be in 10 years' time and take it seriously, because it will have a big impact. And if you have the awareness that you're learning all those lessons at the time for the future, then you know what to hold on to and what not to. So I would have definitely planned a bit more to leave Kapooka, because it was my dream job, like literally in the army. That's all I wanted to do. If I did that, and I used to say, if I die today, I'm cool. That's fine. Like, I've done what I wanted to do in my army career. And I envisioned myself staying there for asking for an extra year and then hopefully going up for promotion. And that was it. That's what I wanted to do. And so when we did transition, it even shook me that I'd never thought that I would be like, oh, okay, I'm done now. So take it seriously. Yeah. And there's resources out there to help you do that as well. So
absolutely. Great advice, Rikki. Actually, we are running a program here currently calling Operation Navigator, and that is about working with those that are current serving and in their first 12 months. It's about planning for the future. So you've heard it right here, everyone. Rikki is saying plan for your future. Thank you so much for joining us, Rikki. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing some more veterans link in with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.